Welcome to Dreamscape Cards. My name is Phil Frost, and I recently created my own collectible trading card game called Emblem 5. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to play the game, and if you think it looks like something for you, then you can click a link in the description of this video to buy a pack of Emblem 5 cards for yourself. They're available right now on the Game Crafter. But anyway, what is Emblem 5? Emblem 5 is a fast, fun, two-player card game about creating and battling teams of colorful emblem characters. During a game, each player will use their own deck of emblems to engage in quick battles that utilize teamwork, strategy, timing, and hand management. The winner of each battle earns the right to choose which emblem from each player's team gets to progress and which one is doomed to be discarded. Part 1. Setup. To play a game of Emblem 5, you must have exactly 30 cards. First, shuffle the cards and deal 12 to each player face down. Then, place the remaining 6 cards face down somewhere in the center of the table. This stack of 6 cards is known as the neutral deck. Finally, have each player draw the top 5 cards of their respective deck. This will be their starting hand of cards. And with that, you are now ready to begin playing Emblem 5. Part 2. The cards. Before we discuss gameplay itself, let's go over the anatomy of an Emblem 5 card. On the top left of each card is an elemental symbol, which denotes the card's elemental family. The name of that elemental family is also printed at the bottom of the card, in its center. There are 6 elemental families in Emblem 5. Fire, which is red, water, which is blue, forest, which is green, tech, which is gray, light, which is yellow, and dark, which is purple. At the very top of each card in its center is the emblem's name, and directly below it is an image of the character itself. In the top right, you will find either the letter A, B, or C. This letter can help you identify the rarity of the card. Cards marked with a C are common, those marked with B are rare, and those marked with A are legendary. While card rarity has no effect on gameplay, it is something fun to look for when opening booster packs. Just below the emblem character's artwork is a number in a hexagon, which is the emblem's base power. Base power is how much strength an emblem has before any card abilities come into play. For example, Templar has 7 base power, but this may change based on his card ability text, and the text of other cards in play. To the left and right of the base power hexagon are 2 black boxes containing attributes. Attributes do nothing on their own, but certain card abilities may refer to them, so they're still important to pay attention to. A card's ability text can be found directly below the base power hexagon, in the white area. This text outlines ways in which the emblem can gain power, lose power, or give power to other emblems, and it's therefore extremely important. If you are interested in trying to collect every Emblem 5 card, the 2 tiny black rectangles at the bottom of each card let you know which card set the card is from, and what number that card is in its respective set. Part 3. Battling. A game of Emblem 5 consists of 7 rounds. The first 6 rounds are battles, and the 7th round is called the Sacrifice, which sounds much more ominous than it actually is. At the beginning of each battle round, player 1 should flip over the top card of the neutral deck and place it somewhere in the center of the table, such that both players can see it. Then each player should play 1 card from their hand face down in front of them. Once both players have played a card face down, they simultaneously reveal their played cards and use them to assess what they should play next. Here's something important to remember. Every time you play a card, if there are still cards in your draw pile, immediately draw 1 new card and add it to your hand. After both players have drawn a new card, they should then play a second card face down next to their first played card. Once both players have played their second card, they once again reveal them simultaneously, then draw a new card, if possible. At this point, with all played cards revealed, the battle has concluded, and players should now compare the overall power values of their played pairs of cards. As mentioned previously, every card has a base power value in a hexagon, but that value may be affected by its card ability or the ability of any other card in play, even a neutral or opposing card. So when comparing the power values of each player's played cards, make sure you take every card's ability into account, in addition to the base power values themselves. In this example, player 1 played Cynthia and Beetroot. Cynthia has 8 base power, which is not affected by any other card abilities currently in play. Beetroot, meanwhile, has 12 base power. Beetroot's ability states that unless Beetroot's teammate has no attributes, he is nullified, meaning that his card is considered to be blank and is ignored. However, since Cynthia, Beetroot's teammate, has no attributes, Beetroot does not have to be nullified, so his score of 12 can be added to Cynthia's 8, bringing player 1's team to a total power of 20. Player 2, by comparison, played Pedro and Flash. Pedro has 5 base power, but he gains 4 power for each other light card in play. Because there are 2 other light cards in play, he gains 8 additional power on top of his 5, bringing his total power to 13. Flash also has 5 power, but his ability states that all emblems with only 1 attribute gain 5 power. Because Pedro only has 1 attribute, he would gain that additional 5 power, increasing his total even further to 18. Finally, because the neutral card for the round was Beacon, whose ability gives all other light cards in play 5 power, both Flash and Pedro gain 5 more power. This would mean that Flash would now have 10 total power, and Pedro would now have a whopping 23 total power, bringing their combined total to 33. Player 2's team has more power than player 1's, so player 2 would win this round. Part 4. Winning a battle. When a player wins a battle, they should immediately add the neutral card from that battle to their hand for optional use later in the game. Then, they must decide which card from each team is added to its respective player's collection and which card is added to its respective player's discard pile. Cards in a player's collection will be scored together as one big team during the final round of the game. Therefore, ideally, both players want to have their best cards end up in their collection, and their less valuable cards end up in their discard pile. Continuing the example from the previous section, player 2, the winner of the battle, would get to add Beacon to his hand as a reward for winning the round, since Beacon was the neutral card. Then, he would choose the better of his 2 played cards to add to his own personal collection. Next, he would choose the less appealing of his opponent's 2 played cards to add to his opponent's collection. And finally, each player would then add their leftover card from the previous battle to their respective discard pile. Here's something to keep in mind. If players' teams ever have equal power values at the end of any battle, then the neutral card for that round is discarded into its own unique discard pile, and each player gets to make their own decision regarding which card is added to their collection and which is added to their discard pile. Part 5. Collections. A player's collection is a group of cards that will slowly grow as a game of Emblem 5 progresses. As described previously, players get 1 card added to their collection after each of the 6 battle rounds. At the beginning of round 7, the final round, both players will have exactly 6 cards in their personal collection, regardless of how many battles they have won or lost. Trying to win battles to get good cards in your collection is very important, as this collection will determine whether you win or lose the entire game. During round 7, the sacrifice, each player must choose one of the 6 cards in their collection to discard. Their remaining 5 cards will then be scored together as one big team, which is entirely unaffected by cards on their opponent's team. Whichever player's Emblem 5 team has the higher total score in round 7 wins that game of Emblem 5. Ties very rarely happen, but in case they do, in the event of a tie, The winner will be the player whose team has the highest point value based on base power alone. Just ignore the abilities entirely. And that's it. That's how you play a game of Emblem 5. But before I go, let me explain a few extra things that might be helpful or fun to know before going into your own game of Emblem 5. Custom deck building. Instead of passing out 12 cards randomly to each player at the beginning of a game, players may instead choose to create their own deck of cards to play with. However, if players choose to do this, there is one rule that they must follow. They cannot have any duplicate cards in their decks. If players are randomly dealt duplicates in a standard game, that's fine. But players may never actively choose to put duplicates in their deck, as this can lead to exploits. Regardless of whether players build their own decks or use random decks, their decks must always consist of exactly 12 cards, and the neutral deck must always consist of 6 random cards. Now let's go over some frequently asked questions about certain card abilities and keywords. Do my card's abilities only apply to my own team, or do they affect my opponent's team as well? During the 6 battle rounds, all cards in play, including the neutral card, can affect all other cards in play, even if they are not part of the same team. However, in the 7th round, the sacrifice, your opponent's abilities cannot affect your cards, and vice versa. What does it mean for a card to be nullified? Nullified cards are treated as blank cards. A nullified card's family, attributes, ability, and base power value cannot be referred to or used in any way, as the card's content is considered to no longer exist. A nullified card has no power and contributes nothing to its team. How do Sir Death and Hydra affect each other if played together? If Sir Death and Hydra are played as part of the same team, the person who played them decides which order to activate their abilities. This same rule applies to other duos of cards as well. In the case of Sir Death and Hydra, it would make more sense for a player to say that Hydra's ability activates first, therefore erasing Sir Death's ability that would otherwise cause Hydra to be nullified. What is the difference between every attribute in play and each different attribute in play? Every attribute in play refers to every single instance of any attribute on any card. For example, if 5 cards were in play, and 3 of them had 2 attributes and the other 2 had none, then there would be 6 total attributes in play. By comparison, each different attribute in play only refers to attributes that are unique. For example, if 5 cards collectively had the attributes Cursed, Cursed, Timid, Fast, Fast, and Smart, then there would be only 4 different attributes in play, because while there may be 6 total, 2 of them are repeated, and are therefore not considered to be different. And finally, how can I tell if my cards have matching attributes? Look at the attribute sections for all cards in play. If any 2 cards in play have the exact same attribute sections, meaning that there are no differences between them whatsoever, then they have matching attributes. Otherwise, they do not. That's all of the questions I can think of that one might have for Emblem 5. However, I'm sure I missed something. So if you play Emblem 5 for yourself, and you have some questions, or you just have a question based on something you saw in the video, please let me know in the comments, and I will respond as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing my weird, funny little game, and if you want to buy it for yourself, just a reminder, there is a link in the description. You can go check it out. A booster pack costs $7.50 in the US. I don't know about prices elsewhere, but hopefully they're not garbage.